Yeah, we'll just give people a chance to arrive. Love to see on the chat, or just raise your hand if you came last time to the first one. Okay, cool. You didn't. Thanks for those turning your video on. It always makes a difference. Morena. Hey, Jenny. Morena, Danny. Nice to see you. Yeah, I think we could start, Tuyana. We might have a smaller group today, which is all good.
Okay. Just going to bring up the we go. Morena te Maria whānau. Lovely to see all your beautiful faces and to see you all here with us today. Before we start our session, I'd just like to open us up with a karakia. And I'll do this karakia in te reo Māori and then in te reo Pākehā. Ka pai? Awesome. I noi tātou. Hā ki roto, hā ki waho. Kia tau te Māori e kōpiri nei. E nā puki me nā heke ko te ranga Māori taku e rapu nei. Tihei Māori ora. Breathe in, breathe out. Settle the Māori that stirs inside of me. Through the ups and the downs, it is peace that I seek. Morena te Māori e whānau, e mihi ana ki a tātou. Tātou kua whakapotahi mai ki te kaupapa o Ngahere for Teams. Tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. As I said, it's beautiful to have you with us today. Looking forward to the session ahead, and I hand you over to, I think it's Michelle. Kia ora.
Good morning, good morning everybody. My name is Michelle and I'm the Program Coordinator with the Centre for Social Impact. Just like to welcome you all here as well to our Te Puaha Talks. This is a free program of workshops offered by the Centre for Social Impact with support from Foundation North. To date, we've presented on a range of topics from grant writing, collaboration, evaluation and wellbeing, such as today. So you can access all of the recordings on the website, on the CSA website. I'll pop a link into the chat in a moment. But before we start, I just wondered if you could take part in this quick poll. I'll just bring it up, see if I can multitask. It's just asking if you've received funding from Foundation North. They're interested to see how many of their grantees are coming along and taking advantage of this support. So thank you. I can see a couple of people answering that now. Hopefully it's on your screen.
It was on my screen and then it disappeared.
Let's try again, because it did look like only one person took part. Sorry, everyone. A little bit of IT. Can you see it now? No. Okay.
I can see it, but it's not letting you push anything.
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't want to play. We'll just have to cope with that today. IT not cooperating, so sorry everyone. But yeah, so today's session, as Tuiana said, is Ngahere for Teams. And I'd just like to hand back to Louise and Tuiana for the delivery and holding us all today in this. Thank you.
Kia ora whānau. Just before we start, I just wanted to get an indication of who had been here, who's done a session before with us. Awesome, awesome. I'm just going to do a little recap on the word Ngahere. So we had so the word Ngahere actually is a beautiful whanaunga, and I just want to mihi to Chaz because I know that he has not been well of late, so just sending Chaz a whole lot of aroha. Chaz Doherty lives on the edge of the Te Iriwira in Whiranaki, which is the most ancient indigenous forest in the world, and closely related to Louise as well. And we were in a car. We were going to pick up his mokopuna. And he just, sometimes Chaz just says these beautiful things. He says, one thing that he shared with me is, science is learned and my tauranga is lived. And I thought, oh, that's so deep when you think about that, you know, sometimes he just shares these beautiful things with you. And in the car, he shared with me, he goes, you know, this word, Ngahere. He said, you know, we often think of it as being the forest. And he said, but actually the word Ngahere is the interconnectedness of everything. From the moss, which is the oldest thing in the Ngahere, through to the rako, through to the ferns, through to the awa, the water. He said everything is interconnected. And we're not separated from that connection. We are part of that connection. So Ngahere is this encompassing of everything. It's our hononga. It's our connection to everything. And if you think of it in terms of the teams that you're in, you know, here we are, we're wanting to build that same interconnection or that hononga in the teams that you're in. And that kind of makes sense if you think about, a marae. If you've ever been to a marae, or maybe you've not experienced it, but at a marae, you'll have everyone that has their job, because they come together not only as a whānau, but they come together as a team. And there's the interconnectedness from the karanga, you know, to the whai kōrero, to the waiata. Then you'll have a kai afterwards, because there's people in the back that are prepping that kai. It's all interconnected, so we can think of it in that way. And if you take that analogy and also apply it to your teams, so that interconnectedness of the teams that you're in. So in some ways, we're helping you to, or you may already have it, but we really want to consolidate and nurture that ngahere that's within your teams. Ka pai? Yeah? Awesome. Awesome. And I just think that it also is a reminder of the interconnectedness that we have with the taiao, with the environment, and our connection to the environment, especially te papatuanuku, you know. So it was just, I just wanted to have a gentle reminder. I think it was a reminder to myself too, as we find ourselves in this maramataka today. We're moving into the phase of Māori. So we're kind of moving into a bit of a restful place. It's a bit of time to evaluate and to think, because whiro, which arrives on Sunday, is the time of when we kind of think about the month that's been, and we actually plant new things for the month ahead. If we think about from a ngahere perspective, we're always kind of nurturing, we're wanting to nurture that team, to nurture ourselves, to nurture the ngahere. Ka pai? Now I'm going to hand you over to the beautiful Louise Mara. Kia ora.
Yeah, morena koutou, beautiful to be here, and yeah, on this topic. So fantastic that some of you came last time, and seems that some didn't. So we'll do a little bit of recapping, and we'll do some new things. So as Tuihana says, Ngahere for teams, so we ran Ngahere for individuals around individuals connecting themselves back into the web of life. Like humans are nature, we are part of Papatūānuku, but we've kind of become a bit like floaty around in our heads. So that was all about how we do that as individuals, and this is about how as a team do we become like the forest, everyone with their medicine, everyone being able to kind of reach the light, everyone taking their place and kind of working, you know, all the modern research about trees. Hey, we've had so much human superiority as well as white superiority, where we just think other species aren't that intelligent. But of course, the more we learn, the more we know that isn't true. And Indigenous people always knew that. So the trees communicate under the ground. They protect each other. If one's sick, they feed each other. You know, it's quite incredible actually what Ngahere do. So how do we become like the Ngahere? And so we're going to kind of take you through some processes over the coming months, and each time we will take you through one, and then we'll send you them, and we'll put up on the website also a description of them. So I just want to show you because the art's so fantastic. Can I share screen, Michelle? Yes. Yeah, for those who didn't see the first one. So this is the Ngahere for Teams document you'll get. Isn't that beautiful? So just this whole, it's not an idea, but this truth actually, that we are all part of the Ngahere, each with our individual connections, but all connecting together. So we'll be giving you this, and each time we'll kind of have a whakatauki, a hononga and rongoa. So what's something that brings your team into more connection? What's something kind of healing? And then whakatā or reflection. What did we learn from that? Did it work? Didn't it work? And we're certainly not saying that all of this is going to work for all of your teams. So the important thing is that you have a play. You play around and experiment. And I work a lot with senior teams like all around the world, and there's just so many common things. One is everyone's on the busy highway. Rush, 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 rush. And those busy highways, I call them trauma highways. And they're kind of fueled. Last time we talked about the nervous system. Maybe I'll show you my nervous system a diagram again, just to kind of orientate us in that. But there's a place for humans to connect that we all have inside ourselves, that we connect with aroha and curiosity. That's actually a place in you. And then there's a place in us that all competes, and we're under threat, and we're in fight and flight. Hey, and a lot of teams end up a bit stuck in there with a lot of conflict going on. And it's not that conflict's bad. It's always trying to grow something new and different. But it's how do we work with that in a way that keeps us evolving, not gets us into the other part of the nervous system, which gets very stuck. So now the team's stuck. Now we're a bit hopeless and we don't know what to do, and it's too big and we can't ever solve this. And I certainly see that in teams too. And it's always a mix. Some might get stuck on certain things that we can't solve. I'm working with a government department at the moment. I won't say which one, but quite stuck on an issue that they haven't been able to resolve for like 10 years. So we can get into these very stuck places. So, yeah, so how do we find, this program is about, how do we find our way back to the places in each of us that can connect? Because if I'm in the place in myself that can't, I need some help to come out of that. I actually can't really connect from there. What I'm going to do is either shut down, either kind of just become invisible, or I'm going to get really aggressive. So how do we actually work with these areas? So that's what we're going to be taking you on a bit of a journey from. And last time we kind of talked quite a lot about the nervous system and set the scene. And this time we'll go into some of the first practices that we're going to be working with. Yeah, makes sense. Let me just show you the diagram for those who weren't here. I think that's a good thing too. And then we'll share screen. It's so funny why sometimes some screens don't come up. Yeah. So this is a picture of the autonomic nervous system. Hey, and this, what they call the ventral vagal. And what I love about, there's a revolution in, you know, in psychology. It used to be so talky, but actually it's really coming back into a place that meets indigeneity, I think, way better. So this ventral place is a connected place for us. We're alive, we're curious. I'm not trying to be Tuihana. I'm actually really happy being me, but I'm curious about her and my heart's open to connect. But I'm also connected to the earth. I'm also connected to Ranganui, the space. I'm also connected. So I come in relationship to you as a connected being, and that's a totally different place. And then the sympathetic, so that's where we want to create the world from. That's where we create new things from, because that's kind of our optimal place. The sympathetic's a healing zone, a trauma healing zone. A lot's arising, there's many things happening, and now I'm activated. So the greatest adventure of our lives is how we work with those activations. And the greatest adventure for teams is how you work with those activations. And we're going to really give you some tools as we go along on how you can actually work with these activations, because they can create havoc or they create growth. Yeah. And then, as I said, we can get into the dorsal vagal, which we've kind of numbed out, we're stuck, we're hopeless. I've been spending quite a bit of time this week on the Israel-Palestine situation. And yeah, that's, that's really easy to turn away from and numb out. And there's a lot of situations like that, including here. So that's what we're doing. Tuihana, any questions about that? And then we'll take you through the first. I did want to say one more thing. A really critical thing in your teams is, are there enough cues of safety? Is it safe enough for everyone to bring their medicine, their potential? Everyone has their purpose, their pumanoa. Is the team safe enough? And that's a really good question you can ask the team. And another thing we work with in that is aroha atu, aroha mai. Hey, what do I need in the team to be safe enough? And what will I give to the team to be safe? That's a really important thing, and most people don't ask the second question. So those two questions are important, because we all need to be safe enough, because we can't be fully safe, because I'm not fully safe for myself. So I can't expect someone to be fully safe. They're meant to trigger us in some ways. But it's a really important thing in this whole process, and I'll come back to it, but you can start by saying to your teams, hey, I'm doing this thing. They've asked us to give things a go. Are you up for it? We're going to trial some different methods, see what works, see what doesn't, adapt it, Prototyping means we adapt. It doesn't mean we throw it out because we hate it. It means we adapt it to make it good. Hey, so a really good basis to start the journey is, what do we all need to feel safe enough, and how will you be safe for us all? It's quite a powerful little session in itself, but I'll pass back to Tuihana and then I'll come back to that because she's going to start with the process.
Kia ora, thank you, Louise. Today, whānau, some of our focus is going to be on karakia and waiata. And I wanted to start with Papa ki tu ana na tai ki mawa e neke hia I nuku nuku hia if you are re hia e hotu awahine rua ki te wai ki tai wui ki tai wawa ki te whaia o, ki te o marama, ti hei mauri ora, ti hei mauri ora. The reason I start with that is because my koro rere a momo Monty o here, Ngāti Pukenga from Whiti o Te Rangi Marae back home in Tauranga Moana, would always open his whai kōrero with that tauparapara. And as a tāne, he would sing it. And as a wahine and a descendant of his, he would say it, and we as wahine would sing it. And it always, that tauparapara just talks about the whakapapa and the link actually between us and tainui. And it also, it grounds me. It gives me an opportunity because the vibration of that waiata reminds me of who I am and where I'm from, the whakapapa of that waiata. And it always brings my koro into the room with me when I deliver things. So I often will open that up. I can remember, and so this is going to be a bit of storytelling. I can remember coming back to live in Aotearoa in September 2000. And in February 2021, I was taken to Pohara Marae, which sits at the base of Maunga Tautiri, Ngāti Kuriki Kahukura. And there was a beautiful wahine there, Pānia Papa, and her husband, Pukamoyo. And they had this beautiful kapahaka group called Rangamari. And I'd grown up in Australia and really had not a lot of knowledge. The only reo I ever heard as a child growing up in Australia was haere ki te moe, which means basically get to bed. And so that was the kind of, Dad had always brought us up without kind of karakia in our lives. We always knew we were from back here in Tauranga because we would come home every now and then. But I remember going to this kapahaka group and not even really knowing what kapahaka was, and through being in that ropu with Pānia and with Puka and a whole lot of whānau, I soon learnt that while I'm iti kōrero Māori, so my knowledge of real speaking Māori is small, but I can remember learning different waiata. And I remember being able to, couldn't work out what was going on, but I remember crying at some waiata that we were learning, and then I'd laugh and giggle at other waiata we were learning. And then I always found the more tiatia really challenging. And I learnt that through the vibration of the waiata was actually it was touching my wairua, and it was evoking kariaroto. So all these feelings and emotions, You know, like I was just thinking, you know, like if you think about tai aroha, ko te aroha no he wai, he pupu a ke ana. Now that's a, no, that's waiata, that's a waiata aroha, eh? That's talking about the ebbs and flows of love and life. And it has an analogy to water and the waves. And then you have other waiata, mehe koro koro tui. And that's around Hirini Melbourne, actually. It was a waiata written for Hirini Melbourne by Pania. And it was just mourning his loss. And then you have Motiatia, which I've got to say is not one of my favorite ways of learning. But yet in Motiatia, it has such deep whakapapa and connection. And Motiata are often about those, or the ones I've learned. And everybody will have a different experience. But the ones that I've learned have allowed me to have whakapapa. So you have these different waiata that have these different vibrational feelings. And the same can be said of karakia. So if I think about this karakia, e are te rā, ti mai rā, whiti whiti te marama o rangi, whiti whiti te marama o papa, whiti whiti ora ki te nākau e tangate, ti hei mauri ora. And that's actually from this little book that Che Wilson has written around tātai and karakia. And again, karakia can invoke so many things. You know, there's karakia for kai, but in traditional times, our tūpuna would use karakia for everything. Karakia to pick rongoa from the ngahere, to take things from the ngahere. We would always karakia and ask for permission. Before we eat kai, we have karakia. And I think for teens, Louise and I were having a conversation the other day with Michelle, and we were talking about it's a great way to begin a day, and it's a great way to close off a day. And there's this real shift at the moment from ake ake a mene, which are more karakia that come from church kind of back, you know, church learnings, to kind of more haumie, huie, taikie. There's a real shift back to that ancestral kind of karakia. And there's so many karakia. And karakia for a team can bring you together in the morning and open up your day for all that the day brings. And then it also allows you to close off from your mahi, from your work, and then join your whānau. And people, and you know, sometimes I think, yes, sometimes it can be, you know, mamai on the taringa can be a bit sore on the ears when people are, you know, struggling with a bit of pronunciation. But I just want to also share with you that when I came back in 2000, oh, I'm going to get emotional. One day I'll get through a session without crying. I'm such a tangi mito. I can remember never being able to say the word tauranga because I couldn't say ngā. And I couldn't do a karakia. Kia, you know, tuia ki runga, tuia ki raro, tuia ki roto, tuia ki waho, tuia ki te here tangata, ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao, haumi hui e tae ki e. But just through damn practice, and that's around uniting people. And it's probably a beautiful one, actually, that I'll share with you all, because it's around unite us above, unite us below, unite us within, unite what surrounds us, unite us as a collective, sensed in the dark, sensed by the world, binding our intention, it is done. So I would encourage you as a team to begin your days with karakia, and I'm happy to share karakia with you. And sometimes, although, you know, sometimes you can even karakia, you can even Google a karakia, and you can create karakia for your team. You may have a team that wants to create a karakia. And then you can close it off. And it doesn't always have to be in te reo Māori either. But te reo Māori is such a beautiful poetic language, and it has such beautiful depth to it. But karakia, I'm just making sure I'm sticking to my script here. Not that I'm very good at sticking to scripts. But karakia and waiata can definitely evoke feelings and can evoke a really good way of beginning your day as a team and closing it off. Ka pai? Is there any pātai? And because we don't want everyone to be, you know, if you're Māori in an organisation, sometimes it can be, oh, Toihana, can you begin us about karakia? It's great to be able to share that with everybody. And everyone have a turn at opening or closing karakia. Ka pai, any questions, any whakaaro, any kōrero? Ka pai. Oh, someone said, I'm just typing. And I've got to say, I'm just going to have a bit of disclaimer. The things that I'm sharing with you, I've been lucky enough to, you know, be a part of Pania Papa's, you know, teachings and Che Wilson, and have them share with us. And they're always so willing to share. Eliana, sometimes I feel like as a Pākehā, it's not my place to bring te reo onto space. Would it be best for me to use English? I think it's about creating some awareness, being aware. And I think as long as you're being respectful, then yeah. And it's just, I would encourage you to reo, you know, we're in such a political time right now. And reo is a language that I believe should be shared. And I would encourage you to continue to do it in te reo Māori. Yeah. Ka pai? Ka pai? I've noticed sometimes people are asked to lead karakia, but they choose to pass and not speak. Yes, and it's okay to make mistakes. Sometimes the passing of, like, so I'm of a generation where where I admit to my trauma of my father, who couldn't speak English when he went to primary school, and then you know, learnt very quickly to not speak Māori, to stop from speaking Māori and to continue to speak English. And so carry a bit of trauma of my father from that generation. And sometimes, you know, we want to pass, and that's okay to pass. That's okay to pass. But also there's an encouragement that comes with it. There's always an aroha that comes with learning, whether that be karakia or waiata. And I would encourage you to start with just little karakia, you know, and songs such as Tai Aroha, you know, or Te Aroha. Te Aroha, Te Whakapono. Those are easy, accessible waiata that you can learn that still have great meaning. You know, Te Aroha, Aroha is about love, Whakapono, Rangamārie, you know, they all have beautiful kupu within. And I'm working with an organisation at the moment, and they're learning the waiata Tai Aroha, and they're all going away, both, so they're quite a diverse group from different nationalities and different backgrounds, and they're all doing a bit of a piece where they're going away as a team, and they're learning the waiata individually, but they're also doing a bit of rangahau, a bit of research, and actually putting they were talking around their kariaroto and how the meaning of the waiata, what it means for them as individuals, and then sharing that as a team, and then learning it as a team. So that's a little exercise as well. And it's the same can be said for karakia. The only thing I'd be mindful of is just sometimes the transliteration from reo Māori to reo Pākehā. The beauty of the kupu can get lost. Yeah, like the word aroha, it's actually two words that come together. Ka pai? The word whakapono is two words that come together. So if you see a word, it's to sometimes see if there's two words within that kupu, and then find the meaning of each word that gives you the fuller meaning of the kupu in the waiata and the karakia. Ka pai? So I'll share this little karakia with you, and but it's a beautiful thing. It can really bring a team together through waiata and karakia, and the vibration is amazing. I quite like waiata ringa myself, you know, bit of an action song. Ka pai. Over to you, Louise.
Thanks, Trihana. Beautiful. And yeah, I guess, you know, one of the things we're trying to do in this Ngahere for Teams is, you know, I love the quote from Bayo Akola Malafe, who says, these are urgent times, slow down. And this, you know, this constant go, 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 go actually doesn't do anyone any good. It doesn't. And it gets you into this part of your nervous system and physiology that gets very stressed and contracted. And, you know, this is the time, I mean, all times need it, but this time, I think's, you know, pretty intense, where we really need, you know, we're kind of shaped like a pipe. We need wisdom pipes, grounded, connected to earth, wisdom pipes. But we've got a lot of stressed kind of pipes around a table trying to make a good decision. And I think we've really got to take this seriously. And in the Ngahere for individuals, we kind of worked quite a lot with the fact that you plug yourself in to plug your whānau in, you plug yourself in to plug the team in. Because it takes one grounded person in that ventral space to be in the room, and that's in the room. So much of what we're doing is how do we bring that in the room? How do we bring that in the room? So at the last one, we sent you out the 6x1 for individuals. So your first team challenge, we're issuing these as challenges. Hey, terrible challenges to bring more kind of well-being, whanonga, rongoa into your teams, wherever you're at. Hey, there's so much that we can do. So we sent you the 6x1, and the 6x1 is 6 times a day for 1 minute. Can you pause and do something that brings you joy and ease? And that seems such an easy thing to do, but for those who've tried it, did anyone try it? Did any team try it? Okay, cool. If you know, great. But what we're trying to do is wire that ventral, that connected, that wise, that modi order, modi toe. It's really the place of modi order, modi toe into the team. You can't just think about that. You've actually got to have practices that wire that into the team. Hey. So the 6x1 was saying, wow, could yours, or two ways, either as individuals in your team, could you actually all agree you're going to give that a go over a certain period, prototype. Okay, let's give it a go for 6 weeks and see what happens. Or you could come together and do the 6x1 pauses together. Now, I did work in an office. I did lead the office, but I've tried all of these myself as well, and then with teams, but we just put on some music 6 times a day for a minute. That can do amazing things to just get people out of and moving. And people just got to love it. And sometimes you felt grumpy and didn't want to do it. But that's okay, because those who did it, did it. So there was a whole lot that we sent you. We can resend or put on the website. I'm not exactly sure what Michelle Magic does, but that actually has got recordings that you can use as well. But like, that's a really important thing, because we're trying to get out of this trauma highway, which is led by, I've got to do more and faster and better. But more and faster isn't better. I mean, sometimes it is in a sprint, but you don't want to spend your life sprinting. And it comes at great cost to your body. But these little off-ramps, that's what we're trying to create, little off-ramps where presence, Modi Ora, Modi To actually can come into the room. And that's what we need to create new systems. And I also think it's a radical act to actually begin to dismantle this horrible system of productivity. It came through actually a lot of white superiority, came through the scientific revolution, the industrial revolution. Hey, and we've actually got to start saying we're humans and we're going to meet each other in humanity, not as a task. So anyway, that's the first thing, I think. And what Turihana's saying about karakia waiata is if you bookend your day, those could be 2. So then you've only got 4. So 2, that you start soulfully, you start in a connected place. Every morning I just go out to my deck and I do my own process of connecting to Te Taiao. So you can have bookend, start and finish, and then 4 times a day. And then again, I want to kind of bring you back to the way your team meets. If we don't change the way people meet together and how teams meet, we're not going to change anything, because the world, the universe is relational. So how do your teams meet together? And there's so many small things. And again, we think more, faster, better. Let's get through the agenda. Yay, we got through the agenda, but at what cost? What are people's state of their nervous systems? How stressed are people leaving? And how do we make the way we meet together not adding, piling up stress? So, I've come out of one meeting, I've got a lot to do. I come into the next meeting with quite a backpack of pressure. I can't 100% focus on this meeting because the last one was tense and I've got pressure, so I'm half here. So then I add more to that backpack, and then I add more and more and more, and I get to the end of the day and I'm like, ah! So we need these moments during the day, but also in your meeting. Like, pauses are a radical act today. I wish it were not so. But again, you can start a meeting with karakia. But during the meeting, when you notice things are getting stressed, stop and take some breaths. Now, I love grounding, and people talk about grounding, and we did this last time, but not many people know how to do it. So it's such a beautiful thing to start a meeting also by just giving a couple of minutes for everyone to ground. You could either lead it or just give people some silence to come into some digestion of what happened in the last meeting, orientating to this kaupapa of this meeting, and just grounding themselves. And let's just do a little grounding now. And you can either do a long grounding, which I think last time we did a longer grounding, and in the 6x1, there's some processes for grounding, but let's do a short one so that you can do that. And I think I said last time, but in that avatar where they stick their hair into the other things and then they connect, but our way is through our feet. So it's like right now, feel your legs and your feet. And just imagine that I know that your legs and feet know how to ground. Like, your mind might not, but actually your legs and feet, it's a natural thing. They know how to ground. So just trust them a little. And we have gravity that can pull us down. And I think of gravity as the love of Mother Earth, love of Papatsuanuku, pulling us down into her. So if you can't, you can actually learn to feel gravity. But if you can't feel, just imagine I'm being pulled down Energy's going down my legs and feet. Hey, and then energetic roots come out and connect down through the floorboard and the structure of the building to meet the whenua of where you are right now. Now, of course, you can connect to your where you are, mana whenua, where you come from in the world, but actually you can connect where you are. That's really important too. And let's just then let her pull us down into the earth. And you can go way down or a short way down. I just notice when I come into the earth, it's just almost like they just drop down kilometers. And there's a beat, a heartbeat of the earth. She has a different rhythm. Again, like I even notice how my voice is slowed, I've dropped. And we can synchronize with that rhythm because our bodies belong to her. And of course, we can go up to our head, and I call it trampolining, but we can just come back down. Just notice what that feels like. And you can do this 100 times a day. I'm getting pressured. I can connect back to Papatūānuku. I can get back. And if you do this at the team, as a team, after karakia at the start of a meeting, what you can also do, and let's do it now, is anything that you're with that's hard right now, imagine it just goes down your body and into the earth. And she creates soil. So everything, tension, stress, comes down those roots into her body. It's part of her service. She creates compost and soil, and we breathe in some fresh air. We breathe in some nourishment. And then I really love doing this, and this is what you can do with your team. And you can leave your roots down or bring them up. But a grounded team will get much more into flow. But just as we come out, I want you to imagine your kindest eyes. Your kindest, softest eyes. And it's like you relax your eye sockets. So much of us connect with threat through our eyes, but with kind eyes, I want you just to open your eyes and look around people and know that they're only looking at you with kind eyes. And it's not creepy eyes, it's kind eyes. Because we need enough cues of safety for people to relax. And when they relax, they're much more likely to bring their medicine. And the world needs all your medicine. Yeah, any questions or comments or felt senses? Yeah, connection and all our connection to earth and each other. As we go on, we'll talk more about the sympathetic and what we do with triggers, but for now we're resourcing and resourcing. And I have such compassion for people in teams because it's kind of often crazy and re-traumatizing for people. So anything you can do to take these moments, and that wasn't long, hey? And then people can digest a bit, and then I can connect. But actually, if I'm in the sympathetic or the dorsal, I'm so full, I might look available, but actually in me, I'm not available, A, for you or the kaupapa. I'm just not. So how do we do these radical acts of kind of, we're not buying into that agenda anymore. We're actually going to connect, and things go faster and better. And during a meeting, like, you've all got gifts, hey? Notice, things are getting tense. Let's just pause and ground together. Let's just feel our roots together. You can play some of the recordings, or just, just invite people simply to put their roots down. That's actually grounding. Grounding means I'm connected to earth. You can't actually ground in your body without connecting to earth, because it's grounding as I'm sitting in the base of my body connected to earth. And I love my grounded self, and it's so hard being my stressed self. So we need to have compassion for that stressed self, but we don't need to keep wiring it. Yeah, so true, Susan. Sometimes we're caught up in the fast system, and it takes courage to lead a different way. Yeah, that's beautiful. And the shame that I contribute to the fastness. Yeah, we can't change a system on our own, but together, hey. And yeah, I feel a bit of shame when I contribute to that as well. But I'm just caught up in the collective trauma soup. So we've got to have a lot of compassion for when we're caught in that soup. And you're right, courage. That's why I encourage you to go, I'm doing this process. They've asked us to prototype. Would you be willing to give it a go? And prototyping means you get to say what doesn't work. We're experimenting. But would you all be prepared to give this a go, even for a month? And let's see after the month what we notice. And we'd love to get feedback what we notice. And especially, I can see SB in here, especially those in the environment often don't take the time to connect to the environment to lead the kaupapa. And I know, Danny, you know this, but Mother Earth said to me once, nothing for me without me. Nothing for me without me. So let's bring her into the room and lead from these connected places. So anyway, we'll go into more tools, but these are your practices, these pauses, these starting sacredly. Meeting people is a sacred thing. You are a sacred site, others are, and we've stopped meeting as a sacred act. I just say no to that system that doesn't encourage that, and yes, we're going to start doing it. Thank you. I'm very passionate about that. And yeah, we'll see you next time with our next processes. But please give them a go. You can't just think this stuff, you've got to give them a go. Doesn't matter if you fail. Try something different. Back to any questions for me or Tuhiana before we close? And do people feel willing to give this a go? No, it's great. And you'll already be doing some stuff too, that's good. So, build on that too. And especially on Zoom. Like, do it on Zoom. Okay, back to you, Michelle.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Yeah, every time I already, we plan out what's going to be talked about today, but there's always so many more gems that I feel like we can bring into our team. We've been doing Waiata at the beginning of the day, and it's making such a difference. So yeah, look forward to hearing how you all find it. We just want to make sure we can continue to provide these workshops so that they meet your needs. So I'm popping a little quick 4-question survey in the chat if you're happy to share your thoughts on today. and what else you'd like to hear about, that would be fantastic. After our session, I'll pop the recording on the website with the new resource that you saw that beautiful picture of, and you'll get an email that'll come to you so you can access all of that. And I might add a link to the recordings, but the audio recordings Louise mentioned, in case you decide you want to have that for 1 minute of your pause with your team. So yeah, that's all from me. Back to Turiana to close us off with a karakia. Yeah.
Kia ora te whānau. Thank you. I'm going to close this with a karakia, which is actually one of Louise's favourites. And actually it can be used to open and close. So I'm going to he karakia whakakapi, so to close off a hui. Manawa mai te Māori nuku, manawa mai te Māori rangi, ko te Māori kai au, he Māori tupua, ka pakaru mai te pō, tau mai te Māori, haumi e hui e, tae ki e. Ngā mihi whānau, be safe and don't forget to vote up for all today. Kia ora.
Thanks everyone. Happy practicing.